Hello, my name's Paul and welcome to this channel. I'm going to make a series of a few videos about the construction of a sailing dinghy. For those who have watched our previous videos, thank you for your support. We've recently sold our catamaran and now this is our next chapter in life. Downsizing to a smaller dinghy. It's a John Welsford design. It's called the Pathfinder. It's 17 feet 4 inches long, or 5.2 meters. So we're going to build this a little bit differently, a few different techniques, and we're going to be using some different materials rather than timber. Now I know there's a few traditionalists out there, they're going to sort of like curl their toes at this, but I'm hoping it's going to be a quicker way to build a dinghy, and maybe for someone who hasn't got the woodworking skills to work with timber. The material we're going to be using is PVC foam core, an 80 kilo density, and it's going to be 10 mil thick. And we'll be covering that with some carbon fibre and some epoxy resin. So hopefully we should end up with a pretty light boat. John's designed weight for this boat is around 220 kilos. I'll show you a picture. So I don't know if you can see the drawing here. It's pretty light, but it's a little gaff yawl. Now, it's supposed to be a very seaworthy boat. We're going to take it on some little journeys later on. Go for some little adventures, more up rivers and lakes, but maybe we might do a little bit of coastal stuff. So the technique I'm going to use, I'm going to build a female mould. So instead of using the traditional way of how John's done it, is set the bottom plank up on this dinghy, then they've used these drawings to make the frames, and then they stick the frames on the bottom plank and then attach all the stringers, and that'll give the shape for the planking to go on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these drawings out onto a piece of plywood. I've already done this frame. This is frame number 4. And I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to get the cutouts from the frames. I'll use these cutouts for the patterns for the frames, and what I've got left over I'll stand up on a strong back. So I'll have a series of stations. I think there's about eight of these frames to make. So I'll have 8 stations, and I'm going to stand them up on a strong back and put some battens along on the shines and in between, and then I'm going to push the foam into that and glass it, and then put the frames in and fiberglass those in and build half of a boat. So I'm building the dinghy on the center line, so the mold will be sort of have the shape of half the boat formed up, and then I'll make one half, I'll disassemble the mold, I'll turn these stations around, and then I'll reassemble it with all the battens back in place, and that should give me the other mirror image of the other hull. And then I'll leave the second half in the mold, and then the first half that I have finished, I will lay that on top and join them together. So you'll see that as I'll move along and explain it a little bit more in detail. So I'm going to mark the rest of these frames out, just using his measurements that he's got here, and I'll allow a thickness also for the battens and the hull skin, which the hull skin will be the foam core. It'll be 10mm thick, and then I think I'm going to use 1/2 inch thick battens, maybe 30mm wide. I'll see how it goes. So I've traced out this frame, and then I'm going to mark out the thickness of the extra line, and I'm going to cut back on that. So I'll cut on this line for my templates for the frames, and then I'll cut on this second line I'll put in, and that will be the allowance for the hull skin and the battens. Also marked out a few more here, so I don't know if you can see this. I'm trying to work the camera so I can get the screen back. Oh, here we go. So I don't know if you can see these drawings, they're a little bit light against the white, but there's some more boards that I've marked out here. I've got frame number 3, number 2, that's marked out, and frame number 1. Yeah, so I'm just going to finish all these off. Finish marking them off, cut them out, and then we'll take it from there. I hope you find this interesting. I'll try and do the best I can with my movies. This is the first time I've done something like this. So next I'll cut these out with the jigsaw, and in the next video we'll put the strong back together and assemble the stations to form the mould. Thank you for your interest in this project, and we'll see you in the next one.